Hey, what's up guys? I'm Steve Wells, and today we are going to be doing part 2 to my How to Get Started Running series. So if you missed part 1, go ahead and check it up at the link up here. I'll put it in the description as well if you want to go back to it at the end of this video. So what this video is going to be is once you've gotten past the initial stages of running, maybe you're 2 weeks, 3 weeks into your kind of running journey, it's going to be where to go from there. So at this point, for a week or two, you've been going out for runs in whatever athletic clothes you have, just doing kind of whatever distance you felt was appropriate that day. But at this point, you can probably start looking at adding a little bit more structure to what you're doing. So this is probably just happening naturally. Maybe on the weekend you're going on a little bit longer runs because you're off. On your less busy days at work, you're doing maybe like 1 or 2 miles and that kind of thing. But at this point, you can put a little bit more thought into what you're doing, maybe even write down what days you're working out so that you have a little bit more of a plan of what you're going to continue doing. But while you want to have a little bit more structure to it, you also don't want to be too strict with it. So if you feel like doing a little bit more one day and you're only supposed to do 1 or 2 miles, just go a little bit further. And maybe if you're really not feeling it one day, just get out the door and just go for a quick one that day. This is also a good time to start looking at some goals that you might have, some short-term goals, longer-term goals. So maybe in a couple of months you want to run a 5K, and maybe in a year or two you want to work up to a half marathon. This is a perfect time to start looking at those, maybe even writing them down so that you have something that you're working towards, and that way you can continue to have the motivation to keep running. So at this point, you've committed to running. You feel like you're going to continue doing it more than just a few times, a few weeks. So at this point, it would probably be worthwhile to start looking at some gear. While running is a sport that is pretty cool because you can just go out your front door and start going with whatever gear you have, you're going to be a lot more comfortable and be able to probably, I would say, do it longer term as well, depending on the gear, if you have the right equipment. I'll put a link up here to my tips for beginner runners, where we go into a little bit more detail about what type of gear and that kind of thing that you should be looking at when you're just getting started. But the basics that I think that every runner should have is shoes. So I have a video on which shoes to pick out. But the best way to do it is to go to a running store that will analyze your gait and measure you and get you in something that makes sense for your body and your preferences. Some other things that you might want to consider looking at, especially if you're getting blisters, looking at getting yourself some actual running socks. Regular cotton socks are going to keep sweat, moisture around your feet, give you blisters that way. Synthetic running socks will wick that moisture away from your feet, keep you more comfortable, and help prevent blisters in the long run. So I have a video that I'll link up here about choosing the right socks as well. You'll also probably want to look at what underwear and sports bras you're wearing. So those are going to help with any chafing issues that you have. And whether you're male or female, you have parts that need supported, and there are articles of clothing that are made specifically for that. If you're a female, you shouldn't need to wear too stretchy sports bras. Even if you think that you need a lot of support, there are running sports bras out there that are specifically made to give you adequate support when you're running. And as far as underwear is concerned, I a lot of times will recommend some type of compression short or lined short, or a lot of women now are wearing those kind of mid-thigh bike shorts, which I think are really cool because kind of traditionally women have worn shorter shorts, and if you have bigger thighs, you can cause chafing problems, and that sucks. I see a lot of women out there in long leggings on hot days, and I expect that's because of chafing problems. And if you get the right shorts, and I would also look at Body Glide, Squirrel's Nut Butter, Run Guard has some stuff, even Vaseline or something like that, that's just going to help lubricate like your thighs and everything, that will help prevent chafing and keep you happy when you're out running. There are lots of lined men's shorts. I would recommend something that has a little bit longer of a liner, kind of mid-thigh, instead of the brief type liner, unless you really don't have any chafing issues. I like to wear shorts with like a brief liner or no liner, and a compression short underneath. With the right articles of clothing and a little bit of lubrication added, your thighs and other parts will be much happier. Another thing you probably want to be checking out right now is some massage equipment. Probably really sore if you're just getting started or increasing mileage. So I tend to get knots in my calves. People tend to have IT band issues. People can develop plantar fasciitis, all super common problems. But with stretching and rolling can help prevent all of those things. So in my massage equipment basket that I keep in my living room for when I'm watching TV, I've got a bunch of different stuff, but mainly use tennis ball, good for rolling out your feet and calves. Lacrosse balls work a little bit better because they're a little bit harder, but rolling out the soles of your feet and calves along your Achilles, great for that. I also have my main piece of massage equipment that I use on my entire body, try to do it every day, but I've been slacking a little bit lately and I've been very sore as a result of that, and that's a foam roller. So there's these short ones like this, there's full length ones, there's all kinds of different ones. You don't need a crazy fancy one, just get something cheap that you can afford, and it's perfect for pretty much every part of your body. I think foam roller is your main piece of massage equipment. If you just have shoes and a foam roller and nothing else, you'll probably be fine, but I really recommend something like this. They also have these kind of stick rollers that is kind of a similar idea to a foam roller. So I would get one of these if you were getting a foam roller and one of these to use as different things, or if you have trouble getting down on the floor to roll out with a foam roller, something like this might be a good alternative. People have different opinions on this, but in my opinion, a foam roller is gonna do a little bit better of a job, be a little bit more versatile than a stick roller. So if I just had one, I would go with a foam roller. Going off of your massage equipment, now is a time to start addressing issues that you might be developing, noticing on your runs. So if you're getting blisters, need to look at ways to prevent that. If you're chafing, preventing that. If you notice that your knees hurting a little bit, your hips hurting a little bit, whatever, need to identify those issues and maybe start doing a little bit of research into what you can do to prevent those problems. But at the same time, you need to kind of be aware of the difference between muscle soreness and actual pain. So if you're a little bit sore, that's totally fine. That means you're breaking down those muscles, you're gonna be building them back up stronger than ever. But if it's more of a sharp pain, if it's a pain that's in a joint, deeper inside pain, then it's something that you should probably address. And most running injuries are going to be addressed with strengthening and stretching and rolling. So right now might be a good time to also start thinking about your running form a little bit. You're getting more comfortable going out for runs, and it's a good time to maybe start doing a little bit of research and figuring out what good running form looks like so that you can try to replicate that. That will help you be more efficient and prevent injuries for yourself in the future. So I'm thinking that's what I'm probably going to talk about in the next video, but that wraps up what I have for part 2 of getting started running. If you're just starting running, I would love to hear about what your experiences have been so far, maybe what problems you've run into. Leave that down below in the comments and maybe I can do a little bit to help you out. If this video was helpful, be sure to like and subscribe down below. I just set up a new Patreon account. I'll leave a link to that in the description if you want to help support the channel, and I will talk to you guys next week.